Hello, boys and girls. Today we're going to be reading Salmon Stream, and this book is by Carol Reed Jones. Today we're going to be reading a narrative nonfiction book. And when we think about narrative nonfiction, it's a nonfiction book which is true facts, but it's told like a story. So it's going to sound like a fiction book. But we know that it's nonfiction because it's telling us about a certain topic. So we're going to see if we can figure out what the main topic is of Salmon Stream as we read. Pay close attention for information about an animal's life cycle. So here we go. Let's get started. Salmon Stream by Carol Reed Jones. As we open up on our cover page here, we've got our title, but here we have another important text feature that the author gives, which is a map. This map shows us all of the places that salmon can be located on the earth. You can say located or found. You can use that as a synonym. So we can find Salmon Stream in all of these places that we see a picture of a salmon. So that's a lot of places in the world that you can find salmon. All right, let's get started reading. This is the stream in the forest. This is the water, clear and cool, that flows in the stream in the forest. This is the deep and shady pool, filled with water, clear and cool, that flows in the stream in the forest. This is the nest of the rocky gravel, for beyond the shady pool, filled with water, clear and cool, that flows in the stream in the forest. The egg of the salmon, born to travel, hides in the nest of rocky gravel, far beyond the shady pool, filled with water, clear and cool, that flows in the stream in the forest. So the author writes like a fiction story, using lines over and over again to tell you something important. The water, where the stream with the rocky gravel is clear and cool. That's an important detail. So here we have our salmon eggs. This is the tiny fish that hatched and has its dinner still attached from the egg of a salmon, born to travel, that hides in the nest of rocky gravel, far beyond the shady pool, filled with water, clear and cool, that flows in the stream in the forest. So here we have our tiny fish, and the tiny fish still has food attached to it. So it doesn't have to go and find food. So we had our egg first, and now we have our tiny fish. This is the trout that tried to catch the tiny fish, so newly hatched that it has its dinner still attached, from the egg of a salmon, born to travel, that hides in the nest of rocky gravel, far beyond the shady pool, filled with water, clear and cool, that flows in the stream in the forest. So right now it's still a tiny fish. A hovering osprey dived to snatch the wily trout that tried to catch the tiny fish, so newly hatched that its dinner still attached, from the egg of the salmon, born to travel, that hides in the nest of rocky gravel, far beyond the shady pool, filled with water, clear and cool, that flows in the stream of the forest. So we can note that we're still in the forest with the tiny fish, and the stream is located in the middle of the forest. These are the spotted fry that grow and wait for a sign they instinctively know. The rains will tell them when to go. They leave the place where the osprey snatched the wily trout that tried to catch the tiny fish so newly hatched that had its dinner still attached, from the egg of a salmon, born to travel, that hides in the nest of rocky gravel, far beyond the shady pool, filled with water, clear and cool, that flows in the stream in the forest. So now the fish has changed. The fish has changed into a spotted fry. The spotted fry is just a growing tiny fish. So it's changed. Traveling down with the current's flow, facing upstream as they go, the smolt pass obstacles great and small. Gravelly shallows, a waterfall, through culverts and pipes devised by man, down a fish ladder on a dam, and to an estuary wide. So the fish is now traveling and going to different places. And you'll notice that it faces obstacles. A synonym for obstacles would be something that's hard or difficult. Something that keeps you from doing something you want to do. Drifting with the ebbing tide, they reach their saltwater home at last, an ocean indescribably vast. So the salmon has traveled and faced obstacles, but they finally arrived to their home, which is the ocean. The salmon is continuing to change. The salmon grow for months in the sea, catching fish and swimming free. So here we have the different types of salmon. The author includes labels for us to see what kind of salmon we can spot. So we have coho salmon, and we have steelhead trout, and we have Chinook salmon, pink salmon, sockeye salmon, chum, and Atlantic salmon. So the author gives you the label so we can see what type of fish it is. Trying not to become a meal for human, sea lion, orca, or seal until they get the homing urge to gather where river and ocean merge. So here on the page, they're avoiding their predators. A predator is an animal that hunts another animal. So you can find the 3 predators of a salmon on this page. We have the seal or the sea lion here. And then we have our orca. This is the rain that swells the rivers and sends the message that nature delivers to salmon to send them home to spawn, relentlessly swimming on and on, up the river with the tide, past the estuary wide. So now the river is going to take the salmon back home. And the salmon knows to leave because of the rain. The rain tells them to go. Up a fish ladder on a dam, through culverts and pipes devised by man, obeying the voice of instinct's call, they leap a 10-foot waterfall to reach the place where they were born, bruised from the journey, weary and worn. So now we have grown-up adult salmon that are getting ready to spawn or have babies. When they have babies, they go back to where they were born. So I wonder where they're going to end up. So you can see that they're going up the fish ladder, and you can see the waterfall. And then here are all of our salmon. The salmon come home at the end of their lives. They spawn, and each little egg that survives will start the cycle all over again. With the coming of the rain and the silver smolt, we'll discover the sea and turn to salmon swimming free. And tiny fish will one day hatch, with their dinners still attached, from the eggs of a salmon, born to travel, that hide in the nest of rocky gravel, far beyond the shady pool, filled with water clear and cool, that flows in the stream in the forest. So this shows the egg changes to the tiny fish, and then it goes to the smolt, and then it goes to an adult, and then it goes to a spawning, or a fish that gives birth to more eggs. And we can't forget about the spotted fry too. The spotted fry comes after the tiny fish. And that is the end of our story. The author gives us a lot more information we can learn about the salmon. We're not going to read all of this information, but there's information on the types of the salmon. You can learn more about where they live and where you can find them. And gives us lots of interesting facts. And this part of the story is not told like the narrative anymore. It's not like a story. This is more like just the regular nonfiction, which is giving true statements and giving the reader the knowledge that they need to know about salmon. So there's lots for you to learn about what makes a good salmon stream. And then the way the author ends is by showing us the map again of where all of the salmon can be found in the world. I hope that you enjoyed Salmon Stream, and now you're going to complete your assignment. Bye, boys and girls.